Foremost, naka nga ban jàngat ngay def ci report bu génn ci National Assembly bi. Because interestingly, when this oil scandal saga commence or emerge, Gambians yu bari dañ ci am du leen naxari waaye tamit expectuñ dara ci investigation bi. Parce que investigation si yàgg na xew ci dëkk bi, but eventually duñ ci am lu concrete. Li tax nit ñi am feel ne justice was done on the investigation and on the reports. So what is your view on ci li nga gis on so far bi nga xamante National Assembly liggéey buñ def?
Yeah. Let me start a bit in English and I'll switch to Mandinka.
Exactly. No problem.
So what happened, so the report, first of all, I went through the report, quite detailed.
Yeah, quite detailed indeed.
Yeah, quite detailed and revealed quite a lot. It's any concerned citizen should be, justifiably, disturbed and alarmed by what the report revealed. Just to be clear, I mean, the work done by the National Assembly, I wouldn't call it, I mean, you could call it an investigation, depends on how you define it. I would call it more like an inquiry. Okay. It's not expected to lead to, it can make recommendations for the government to, actually, do maybe some further investigation and then launch maybe indictments against those people who have been, implicated and there's evidence that they have committed specific crimes within our laws. In terms of what a National Assembly or parliamentary inquiry is supposed to do, I think by and large, it has met that threshold. Okay. But again, the problem wasn't, I mean, the issue that we have in the country is not whether or not we can do an inquiry to shed light on wrongdoing. Yes. We've done that over the years. What's been missing in this country is taking the next step. Hold those accountable, I mean, hold those who are responsible, holding them accountable and holding them responsible. And if they are found to have committed a crime, well, the laws are very clear. If you are a government that is concerned about, fighting corruption, concerned about doing the right thing, a report like this that sheds unequivocal light on something that has been done wrong in the country, the next step is to actually, do an investigation where people held responsible, they account for what they've done. But even before reaching this stage, there was ample opportunity for this government to actually launch an investigation. Because when this thing came out, there was enough time for a regular police investigation to do its job. There is no law here that was broken that creates ambiguity for our criminal justice system. Our regulations are quite clear about this. The laws that are broken, like, the inappropriateness of granting, let's say, monopolies to a company that's not registered in the country, these things are clear-cut. The reason why there was a parliamentary or National Assembly inquiry is because what happened was the process of investigation was nipped in the bud, was sort of aborted. And the report actually shed light on what transpired, all the wrongdoings. Yes. So basically you can call it like a combination of failure at almost every branch of government that is supposed to have played its part. You have the Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Finance, you have the police, you have FIU, you have the Central Bank, you have PURA. All of these are institutions. If most of them were doing what they're supposed to do, not everything is supposed to work perfectly, but if most of them, or even half of them, were doing what they were supposed to do, there wouldn't have been a need for an inquiry by the National Assembly. The National Assembly, it is not a criminal investigative body. It's supposed to step into this when units within the executive fail to do their job. So we are in, the reason we are at this stage where we are talking about or reading a report by the National Assembly is because of a mountain and a cacophony of failure along the way. So unfortunately, what happens next goes back to these same bodies. So the same bodies that failed, that necessitated the National Assembly to do this report. Now, for we to have any chance of anything happening, we have to go back
to them again.
To them again. Now, the question that is, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question because you are the one supposed to post in the question.
Certainly.
So I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. Is it reasonable for any citizen to expect any results to come from this? The answer to me is quite clear.
And that is?
No. Because if something is going to happen, this inquiry wouldn't have been needed in the first place. The FIU would have done their job, given it to the police would have investigated all the way, slapped indictments on the people who are responsible, the prosecution should have filed cases, the central banks should have put fines on the 2 banks that were found to have violated banking regulations. The minister responsible, the IGP, the 2 ministers should not have played any part to block the investigation. If they had done, they also should have been facing charges. At this stage, we should be talking about the former minister, not the current minister, even though he's been moved to another portfolio. He should have, at the very minimum, resigned. If not, he should have been fired. But the fact that, again, we are here at this stage, none of the corrective measures that should have taken place have taken place. It means that, basically, having any expectation we'll be deluding ourselves, expecting anything to result from this.
But why, if we cannot expect anything, and after all, such an inquiry was set up or was done, and the National Assembly has to spend time and resources, to investigate as to what might have happened. All right. So then, why the need, Doctor? If someone may ask. No. So if the expectation is that there might be, or there may be nothing might happen at the end of the day, because I think. Someone might feel, okay, the investigation were done because they want to know what exactly happened, who was involved, or what exactly happened. But if you feel like after all this work done, seemingly nothing will come out of it, that may sound something else.
So, I mean, like I said, the National Assembly has done, the committee has done a good job. The committee within the National Assembly. It still serves a purpose. Remember, I said it's an inquiry, not an investigation that's supposed to lead to conviction. So in terms of their terms of reference, what is reasonably expected, or what is actually expected of them to do,
they have done.
They've done that, is to shed light. Now, it's up to this government, and maybe a subsequent one. This government can choose not to do anything. But as long as the information is out there, the citizens also, who have a right to know. Citizens, there's the government has its, it should do what it's supposed to do, but failing that, the citizens also have, actions at their disposal, which is when it comes time for election, when it comes time to judge this government as to whether it is keeping its words in fighting corruption, in making so that, governance systems are working correctly, in making so that it is what it says and what it does, they match. The government, the citizens, when it comes to election a year from now, then they will be able to make that decision based on information that's available. Okay. So in that regard, this inquiry is very useful. It's not a wasted resources or time. The question is, what should we reasonably expect? That's what I'm trying to answer.
So don't you think the government is obligated to do the needful?
Absolutely.
So if that is the case, then we might we might give the government the benefit of the doubt. How about that?
Yes, I said the government, we expect the government to do something. They may actually do the right thing tomorrow or in the coming weeks or months. That's possible. We don't know. But what is also undeniable is that if the government, did all the things it was supposed to do, this commission of inquiry on this matter would not have been needed in the first place.
And why do you think those that were supposed to do what they were expected to do haven't done that?
Well, that is for the investigators to find out. At this point, I can only speculate, and I don't want to speculate too much. The actual investigations have not taken place. I'm not privy to any information more than what the report has shown. So, but what I do know is, reading the report and the information that's contained in it, that it's quite clear, and by their very recommendations, that it's quite clear that there's absolutely no doubt that senior government officials, people in positions of responsibility, at the very least, failed in their obligation or worse, committed crimes. So, a government where, the people who are implicated are in the highest decision-making body of the executive. Yeah. This is what? The cabinet. Yeah. If these people are still, in some countries, just the appearance of impropriety creates the conditions for you to, where your position is untenable, where you must resign, even if you are not actually convicted. But the fact that the cloud of suspicion around you creates a diversion for the government to do its job effectively is enough ground for you to leave the government. But here, that's not the case.
So far, before I get to Bojang, are you surprised with not hearing anything so far from the president or the executive or from government as far as this matter is concerned?
No, I'm not surprised.
Why?
Because again, I'll go back to the same answer again. If the things that needed to be done, let me give an analogy. It's the same thing with regards to the Jammeh assets. The government statement, the president's statement with regards to the confiscated Jammeh assets, he was forced, it was sort of like a hostage being brought in front of, unwittingly being brought in front of a camera to talk. He was forced by the effect of the investigation, the outrage that happened, the students going, the youth going out to demonstrate, it was too loud, the cacophony of noise was too loud that it was impossible for the president or the government to stay silent. It was no longer tenable, right? So, that's the analogy here.
Okay. Yeah. So in this case, seemingly nothing is happening. So for that reason, we might not hear anything soon from the government. Is that what you're trying to say? Well,
we will. I think the chances are we will hear something from them.
Okay.
But not not because of their desire to set the wrongs right, but because continued silence is no longer tenable, given the light that has been shed on the immense amount of wrongdoing. At some point, it just becomes untenable to maintain silence. The silence becomes too loud, to put it in a paradoxical term.
All right.